2 minutes. 2 minutes till Skynet takes over the airwaves. If you'd like to check in electronically, you can do so by going to W5FC.org. Click on the electronic check-in and check in. We've got 9 people over there checked in so far. This is W5. This is KF5JJ.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet. Does anyone need to use a repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is KF5JJ. This is KF5JJ. My name is Chaz. I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC, that's Dallas Amateur Radio Club. Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night since 2012 at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime skies, astronomy, and space, and those kind of things in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter this net at any time by using the pro sign, break, break, and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of their transmissions like this. This is KF5JJ. This weekly net operates on a frequency of 146.88 megahertz with a private line tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to W5FC.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. Now, you can check in to the net electronically. I've already told you about that a little bit. By going to the club website, W5FC.org, look for tonight's announcement and click on the hot link to check in. We'll acknowledge you on the air, and don't worry if you don't want to check in via that way, you can check in via voice. We'll continue to do that too, and also Echolink as well. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate, but you need to have a ham radio license. This net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. We'll try to get the most of them. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, National Space Society of events. Discussion topic of the evening, recent astronomical discoveries, was space exploration and space history, constellation of the week, space launches of the week, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, and astronomical questions and answers, and a 73 round. Again, all amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. We currently have the following people that are checked into W5FC.org. Let me double check this. Okay, we have Tom, KE5ICX. He's in Corpus Christi. We have K5MCD Cody. He's in Dallas. AG9SG Antonio. He's in Dallas. Bill N5BB. He's in Irving. Brenda. She's she's in Dallas. WB5OZL. NV5F Virginia. I'm trying to read my own handwriting. In Fort Worth. Robert, AA5AH, he's in Richardson. And Travis, he's in McKinney, KI5PGM. Those are the people that are already checked in electronically over on, oh, we have another one that just popped up. Jim, over in Carrollton, AI5VC. Jim, thank you for checking in over there. All right, let me see. We need to get back to the script. All right, I want to do a short time check-in. Please come now with your call sign, slowly, phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from this evening. I'll take the first 3 check-ins on short time check-ins only. This is on radio. We'll get to Echolink in a little bit. So radio, the first 3 transmissions that are short time, slowly and phonetically with your call sign and your name and your location. Okay, well, I could go low power. Why don't we go to low power? Anybody that has low power and you'd like to check into Skynet, please come now with your name, your call sign, and your location. Call sign phonetically, slowly, please.
This is Whiskey Bravo 4, Mike Foxtrot India, WB4MFI, Ted Dallas, low power.
Thank you, Ted. One of our regulars, WB4MFI. He's in Dallas, low power. You know, it sounds like they're transmitting at 100 watts. Anyway, all right. Let's go now with general check-ins. Once again, your name, your call sign, slowly, phonetically, and your location. I'll take the next 3 people. Come now.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Uniform Foxtrot Romeo. Jacob in Farmers Branch. This is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra Gus, far, far northeast Dallas.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Echo India Uniform David, St. Paul, Texas.
Okay, I've got Jacob, Gus, and I'm sorry, from St. Paul. I wrote down your call sign, KG5EIG, I believe, but I don't have your name. Could you come back again with your name, please?
This is Kilo Golf 5 Echo India Uniform David, St. Paul, Texas.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I messed up your call sign, KG5EIU, David, St. Paul. Thank you very much. Okay, come now, the next three people, with your name, your call sign, and your location.
Kilo Foxtrot 5 Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch, welcome to Skynet. Okay, we seem to be slowed down on that. Let me see. I'm going to go over on Echolink. Let me scroll over here. I've got multiple screens open on my... Oh, yeah, here we go. We've got KE5JIT. I believe that's Randy. Over on... but it's signed in as Tom. Okay, we'll write it down as Randy because I've got already Tom signed in. Randy, okay. All right, is there anyone else over on Echolink that would like to sign in? Echolink. All right. That's all the check-ins. Take the electronic check-in one more time. Okay, don't see anybody over there. I'll go ahead and do one more round over the air. If you'd like to check into Skynet on the air with the radio, please come now with your call sign, slowly, phonetically, and your name and your location. All right, let's continue on. Do we have any general announcements? Astronomical, space, or other general interests to what's your call sign if you'd like to make an announcement or have some information?
Well, I have some information, certainly not all of it. NT5TM.
Tony, it was good to see you at Turkey Trot. I was at Water 1. Brenda was at Water 3. Oh, I shouldn't start listing all sorts of people because there was a lot of people on this net that was at Turkey Trot this past Thursday. Tony, go ahead.
Well, I
I got to help several hundred people take selfies at the winner's tent. That's actually a lot of fun. Happy people are fun to be around. But unfortunately, we have to wait almost an entire year now for the next turkey trot, although the Dallas Marathon is coming up very soon. More about that in a minute. Tonight's Afterglow movie discussion will focus on the Quatermass experiment from 1955. Yep, it's in black and white, and it's very slow, but hey, it's, not the worst movie we've seen. We've definitely seen worse. Even worse than that, and much more sad, there will be no fifth Sunday fox hunt tomorrow at White Rock Lake. The fox hunt has been canceled due to mud and cold. There is no White Rock Lake bonus fox hunt tomorrow. I am very sad. I was really looking forward to that. Please don't forget, though, that the first Monday Ham Fixins Net is this Monday at 7 p.m. What cooking experiments did you try for the holiday? You still got an entire day tomorrow to try something new. I know I'm going to. So share what you've got. Recipes, cooking tips, kitchen stories. Ham Fixins Monday at 7. And now, even more importantly, don't forget that the DARC December meetings will be a bit odd. Well, they're always odd, but now they're more odd than usual. The board meeting will take place this Monday at 8 p.m., after Ham Fixins, on Google Meet. Check out the DARC website, W5FC.org. Click on DARC Activities in the top navigation, and click on DARC Calendar, and you'll find a Google Meet link you can use to join the board meeting. Now, let's say you've had your fill of Ham Fixins and you're really hungry. Well, we can help you on Tuesday. The general meeting for the Dallas Amateur Radio Club will take place this Tuesday at 6 p.m. at Sonny Bryan's Barbecue on Campbell Road in Richardson. We have to meet up early so that we can be done before the restaurant closes. Again, let me repeat that, 6 p.m. at Sonny Bryan's this Tuesday on Campbell Road in Richardson. We've got to get out of there before the restaurant closes its doors. Be there or be hungry and sad and lonely. Really, you should just go to the meeting and have a good dinner with your friends. That's what Aaron and I are going to do. Anyway, have a great night. Keep warm. There's a freeze warning tonight. NT5TM.
There is an awful lot of different nets that we have on this repeater. Everything from food, you mentioned that one, to amateur radio satellite communications. Much, much more. Well, I'm not going to talk about all those, but we do have something that's going to happen after Skynet tonight, and that's tonight's Afterglow. You can keep up with, of course, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club events, nets, and other activities by going to the website, W5FC.org. Let me see. Let's see. Why don't we talk about the Afterglow movie? I think either Bill or Tom is going to talk about the Afterglow movie. Bill or Tom, please come now with the Afterglow movie information.
Can you hear me? This is KE5ICX.
Tom, you're low, but you're readable. Go ahead.
All right, I'll go ahead and read to you. Quatermass was a rocket enthusiast, but he liked big boy rockets. Rather than stuffing his rockets with little bugs to see what would happen to them, he preferred clueless English types picked up from the local pubs, stuffing them in multi-story rockets of his own design. Here, put this on. It's a smoking suit, so you can smoke on the rocket taxi, he proclaimed. Of course, it was obvious it was a spacesuit, not a smoking suit, but they were in Britain, and you could pretty much sell any far-fetched tale by shouting a statement including "By Joe" and "Harump" at the beginning and end of every false comment. Quatermass waved at the hapless British knots headed for the stars, two of them trying to light cigarettes in 100% oxygen. It wasn't long before the rocket spiraled out of control. Join us for the first of the Quatermass movie trilogy, the Quatermass Experiment from 1955, which before that was a TV show in 1953. Tonight at 10:30 p.m. Back to you, KE5 ICX.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's good to hear you. Tom was unsure if he could be with us this evening over the air, so I'm glad he was able to make it. All right, let's see now. The next thing on the list is the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas event. Oh, that would go to me. Oh, yeah. On January 23rd, 2026 is the next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas club meeting. The meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. in person at the University of Texas at Dallas. And there's also going to be a Zoom component for members. Let's see now. Now, TASC does not have a meeting in December. Instead, they have a holiday party. If you remember, you've got the notice about that and details about that. TASC hosts Saturday night public observing sessions in the area. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday night, so there could be an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas observing sessions. If there would have been an observing session tonight, it would have been canceled because of the rain, but tonight there are no public observing sessions scheduled on the 5th Saturday of the month. But you can check the TASC website, texasastro.org, for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. Now, next section is the National Space Society events and activities. That would be up to Bill in 5BB. Please let us know about the North Texas section of the National Space Society.
Thank you, Chaz. Let me find my text here. This is N5BB. I happen to be the membership director and the vice president of the National Space Society North Texas chapter. The National Space Society is a nonprofit group based in the U.S., which is interested in the exploration and development of space and the creation of a spacefaring civilization. Our local NS National Space Society chapter website is ntx.nss.org. Our group also has an active Facebook page. Just type National Space Society of North Texas into the search box. Our last meeting was on November the 9th. The presentation was by Zhonghua Xu on When the Sun Gets Angry, Understanding Space Weather in Low Earth Orbit. Associate Professor Xu works in the new Center for Space Physics and Data Science in the Department of Physics at the University of Texas at Arlington. Since we are in the midst of solar X-ray flares and coronal mass ejection events, this is an appropriate time to be discussing space weather. And by the way, just in the last 24 hours, American Airlines and other major airlines flying Airbus planes have them temporarily grounded to upgrade the firmware in the airplanes. And this is because it appears that radiation from space weather had corrupted the control system in another aircraft. So one of their aircraft. So they were upgrading the software to make that less likely. So space weather is very important. And of course, us hams know all about space weather, or we should. on the last Friday evening of each month from 6 to 8 p.m. The National Space Society North Texas chapter usually sponsors a social event called Space Rendezvous. The November Space Rendezvous event was held yesterday at Cheddar's Restaurant, 700 West Highway 635 in Irving, and we had, I believe we had 7 people there. The December Space Rendezvous will be held at that same restaurant on Friday, December the 26th. That's right, Friday evening at 6 p.m., the day after Christmas Day. The North Texas chapter of the National Space Society meets at 3:30 p.m. on the second Sunday afternoon of each month. Our next chapter meeting will be a holiday party at my house in Irving on Sunday, December the 14th, from starting at 2 o'clock for the party, 2 to 6. We will be accepting space-related toys at this party for donations to needy kids. It'll be a potluck party. The National Space Society is providing the meat, paying for the meats, and I'm going to provide the drinks and the plates and everything else, but all the side dishes and breads and things like that need to be provided by people who are attending. We will be sending out probably tomorrow a form where anybody attending can sign up so they can tell us what dish they're bringing. If you have any questions about the National Space Society or our holiday party, please contact Bill, N5BB, that's November 5 Bravo Bravo, that is QRZ listed email address, or at space@byram.net. That's all I got. Thank you, Chaz, N5BB.
Thank you, Bill. Well, once again, good evening, everyone. This is Skynet, and my name is Chaz, KF5JHA. Let's see if we've got any more check-ins over the radio. I've checked the online check-in. Don't see any more people. I have Dale over on Echolink, N5LIG. Would you like to check in via voice? Come now if you'd like to check in via voice.
Yeah, good evening. This is N5LIG, Bill. Just joined in the net. Thank you for having me. I'm over in Little Elm, listening via Echolink, N5LIG.
Thank you, Dale. Well, we're going to go on to our next section. We're doing it a little bit different order, just rearranged a couple of different segments because since I'm doing 3 segments, I wanted to have a little bit of break in between. So we're going to do the feature topics first. And guess what? Bill was really a prelude to what we were going to talk about, the solar sunspot cycle. Slide Master, slide number 2. Now, I'm talking about slides. I hope they're working over on YouTube, but we have a YouTube video version of this on YouTube for Skynet, and you can see the pictures that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm talking about slide number 2. Our location, we're talking about the people that live right here on planet Earth. We're located in the Virgo supercluster of galaxies. The Milky Way is the galaxy where we reside in. The star that we call Sol is in the solar system center, and it's located about 26,000 or 27,000 light years from the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Slide Master, slide number 3. The Sun, or Sol, is the center of our solar system. Most stars exist in groups of stars of 2 or up to over 1 million stars. Our Sun is a loner. No other star is part of our solar system. Our Sun is estimated to be about halfway through its lifetime of about 10 billion years. It was formed a little bit of dust, but mostly gas. Most of the gas is hydrogen, and the rest is mainly helium. If you said the sun was made of hydrogen and helium, you would be over 99% correct. There's trace amounts of everything else. Our closest neighboring solar system is actually a 3-star system. We call it Alpha Centaurus. Its 3-star system is about 4.3 light years away. A light year is the distance light travels in space in a year, which is approximately 6,000,000,000,000,000,000 miles. That's 6 trillion miles, or 9.5 trillion kilometers. We said that our sun was the solar system would be, again, over 99% correct, because the rest of the material in the solar system makes up less than 1% of the total mass. There are things that go around the sun, we say orbit the sun. The bigger pieces of things going around the sun we call planets. The other smaller pieces we call minor planets or asteroids or comets or meteoroids and even dust and molecules and atoms. Counting from the sun outwards, the third planet or the third rock from the sun is the Earth, where we live. The Earth is about 93 million miles from the sun, about 150 million kilometers. It takes light about 8.3 minutes to travel from the sun to the Earth. The sun is about 865,000 miles in diameter, more than 1 million kilometers in diameter. You place over 1 million planet Earths inside the sun, about 1.3 million Earths. We have lots of room left over. The sun is the main source of heat and light for the Earth. It is estimated that if the sun stopped producing energy, then all the weather changes on the Earth would stop in a matter of days, if not just a couple of weeks. Slide master, slide number 4. The energy of the sun comes from the fusion of hydrogen into helium under tremendous pressure and temperature at the center of the sun. This releases all of that energy. It takes approximately 100,000 years, maybe even more, for the energy that is created at the core of the sun to reach the surface of the sun. It sort of wanders around, slowly getting to the surface. Slide master, slide number 5. Just like the Earth, the sun has a magnetic field, a north and a south pole. Did you know that the Earth's north and south poles flip every 200 to 300,000 years or so? Yep, the Earth is overdue for a pole flip by about 500,000 years. We'll have that discussion for another time. The sun goes through a flip of its poles approximately every 11 years. North becomes south and south becomes north. Then another 11 years later, the poles flip back. We think we understand the reason for this to happen. Slide master, slide number 6. The sun rotates on its axis every 25 days near its equator, but the sun is not solid. The main states of matter are solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. And the fluorescent light bulb that you turn on, that's plasma. It produces and gives off the light. Plasma acts similar to a gas or a liquid. So because the sun is really a giant ball of plasma, it does not rotate at the same rate at its poles as it does near its equator. The rotation rate of the sun at latitude 75 degrees is over 33 days, and even slower as you get near the poles. Slide master, slide number 7. And this is KF5JJ. This causes the solar magnetic field to be twisted. The magnetic field lines would get wound up like tightening a spring. Kinks develop along the magnetic field lines to produce effects that are observed on the surface of the sun. These are effects as seen as sunspots, prominences, and solar flares. Slide master, slide number 8. Prominences could be considered to be hot gases that trace out some of the magnetic field lines on and above the surface of the sun. They can last for minutes or even days. Slide master, slide number 9. Solar flares are usually very short-lived bursts of energy and matter coming from the surface of the sun and usually only last minutes. These flares can make large amounts of matter and energy and pulsate from the sun at high speeds, creating something we call a coronal mass ejection, or CME. These can travel through the solar system and affect the planets. Most CMEs take 3 or 4 days to reach the Earth, but they can travel fast enough to reach the Earth in just hours. On Earth, CMEs can interact with our atmosphere and cause aurora to be seen in the nighttime sky. That's happened recently here. Radio communications can be affected, and our satellites can stop working. Oh, wait. Stuff on airplanes could be affected, too. We just heard that from Bill. Thanks. An electronic grid on the Earth can be overcharged, and effects can shut down the electrical grid in some parts of the world. In September, during Skynet, I presented that feature topic about what's happened in the past with shutting down what was going on technology-wise. Back in 1859, it's called the Carrington event, and it was a massive CME, coronal mass ejection. Slide master, slide number 10. Getting back to our sunspots. The sunspots of the sun are the result of the twist of the magnetic field of our sun. There is often a pair of sunspots beside each other. One's north magnetic spot, and the other one's the south magnetic spot. These spots vary in numbers over the 11-year period of time. Every 11 years, there's a solar maximum number of sunspots. We're currently experiencing a solar maximum right now. We don't know exactly when the solar maximum will occur until after this happened. Then in a few years from now, the sunspot number can decrease to 0 for a few years, and then ramp up again. Since the sun flips its north and south pole, the solar cycle is really considered to be a 22-year cycle. 11 years for the north being at the top, and 11 years for the south being at the top. Then back to the north being at the top once again. Slide master, slide number 11. During the current solar maximum, sunspots can be large enough to see with just your solar eclipse glasses that you used, last year. And you can keep track of the sunspots if you visit the website, spaceweather.com. I hope this has given you a brief overview of our closest star, Sol, the sun. Do any of you have out there any questions or need to fill on this information? Please come down with a call sign if you need some added information or need a fill. You must be taking a nap because of all the food we've eaten over the last couple of days. Okay, the next segment on Skynet is recent astronomical discoveries. Brenda, WB5OZL. This net is yours.
Thank you. This is WB5OZL with an article entitled Astronomers Discover Thousands of Hidden Siblings of the Seven Sisters. Astronomers have uncovered that the famous Pleiades cluster, also known as the Seven Sisters, is just the glittering heart of a vast stellar family stretching across the sky. Astronomers at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill have found that the well-known Pleiades star cluster, often called the Seven Sisters, represents only the bright center of a much larger community of related stars. By analyzing data from NASA's Transiting Exoplanets Survey Satellite, TESS, and the European Space Agency's Gaia Space Telescope, the team identified thousands of additional stellar relatives spread far across the sky. They refer to this enormous structure as the Greater Pleiades Complex, and their results show that the Pleiades is about 20 times larger than scientists once believed. Most stars, including the Sun, form within groups. As they age, these groups gradually disperse, which makes it difficult to track the stars which are born together. Astronomers can use stellar rotation as a cosmic clock, since young stars spin quickly and older stars slow down over time. I've lost my place. The UNC Chapel Hill team used this technique to locate many long-lost members of the Pleiades, spread far beyond the central cluster. With rotation data from NASA's TESS and precise measurements from ESA's Gaia, they concluded that the Pleiades is not a compact grouping, but the dense core of a much larger and slowly dispersing stellar association. This study changes how we see the Pleiades, not just 7 bright stars, but thousands of long-lost siblings scattered across the whole sky, said Andrew Boyle, lead author and graduate student in physics and astronomy at UNC Chapel Hill. The discovery reaches beyond astrophysics. The Pleiades has long served as a key reference point for understanding young stars and exoplanets, and it holds cultural meaning across many societies. It appears in the Old Testament and the Talmud, is honored as Matariki in New Zealand, and is depicted as the logo of Subaru in Japan. We're realizing that many stars near the sun are part of massive don't know what that sound was. It's a ghost in the machine. With complex structures, said Andrew Mann, co-author and professor of physics and astronomer at UNC Chapel Hill. Our work provides a new way to uncover these hidden relationships. By studying how stars rotate, the researchers developed a new way to map our region of the galaxy. Their findings suggest that many star clusters once thought to be isolated may actually belong to much larger stellar families. This method may eventually help scientists investigate the sun's own origins and determine whether it formed within a similarly extensive stellar group. By measuring how stars spin, we can identify stellar groups too scattered to detect with traditional methods, opening a new window into the hidden architecture of our galaxy, Boyle said. The research contributes to ongoing efforts to reconstruct the environments in which stars and planets are born. These insights are essential for understanding how solar systems, including our own, take shape and evolve over time. That's it. Back to net, W5OZL.
Thank you, Brenda. Well, we've got a couple other check-ins. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that Jimmy KD5LQD was over on Echolink, and we had a new one that just came up. Let me see. His name is Bill, KA9IKK. Wow, okay. Got him checked in, but he's already blown the coop off of Echolink. But I've still got him checked in. That gives us 19 so far for check-ins for Skynet. Is there anyone else that would like to check into Skynet via radio? Please come down with your call sign, slowly, phonetically, and your name and your location if you'd like to check into the station of the DARC Skynet. So far. For check-ins for Skynet. Is there anyone else that would like to check into Skynet? All I got out of that was echo, echo, echo. Can you come now with your entire call sign and your name and your location, please, once again? You sound familiar with your call, your pro sign, but suffix, but your prefix, I'm not sure. Please come now once again with your call sign and your name and your location. Your location, please, once again. Another try. That's you sound familiar with your call? 5. Echo. Your cosine is Sky. Out from Alan. We're getting a strong feedback from your probably Echolink over on, yeah, so I'm not getting everything. I'm just getting my own signal over Echolink. So please try once again your call sign and your name. I've got Alan. I think that's your location. Please come now once again with your call sign and your name without Echolink in the background. My own. Right, I'll have you partially checked in. All right, let's see now. The next segment is another one from me. Slide Master, slide number 12. This is Chaz, KF5JJ. We call this segment of Skynet What Is Up. It's all about what's going on astronomically over the last couple of weeks and what will take place over the next couple of weeks and beyond. Slide Master, slide number 13. We've talked about the predicted nova of star T Coronavirus, which may erupt at any time. It is currently at a brightness around 10th magnitude. I just checked it a few minutes ago. That's too faint to be able to see with your two eyes. T Coronavirus was supposed to go nova more than a year ago. How do we know that? Because it's a periodic nova. It's not like other stars. There's stars that are called supernovas. They do a one-shot deal and it's very bright. But novas can repeat periodically. Now, one prediction for T Coronavirus to go nova recently was November the 10th. Well, that did not happen. So another prediction is on June the 25th, 2026. When it does go nova, T Coronavirus could become as bright as the North Star, which is second magnitude. I can see the North Star with just my two eyes from my very light polluted location here in Mesquite, Texas. Slide Master, slide number 14. This image is of the sun. Oh, this is for the video version. Yes, this image is of the sun that I grabbed from spaceweather.com just today. The large sunspot complexes on the sun are so large at times that you can use your solar eclipse glasses to see them. I talked about that earlier. And yes, the sun is near its 11-year solar maximum. And again, we're not quite sure when that will occur until after it happens. Now, we did talk about the solar cycle just earlier tonight in Skynet. Interesting. Slide Master, slide number 15. The first quarter moon was on November the 28th. That was yesterday. The current phase of the moon is a waxing gibbous. On December the 4th, the moon is at perigee, which is a point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 356,962 kilometers. Also on December the 4th is the full moon. December the 11th is the third quarter phase of the moon. On December the 17th, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 406,322 kilometers. Slide Master, slide number 16. On November the 29th, oh, that was today, this morning, the planets Venus and Mercury were in conjunction in the southeastern morning sky. Couldn't see it from here. It was cloudy here this morning. Slide Master, slide number 17. December the 1st, that's tomorrow. No, day after tomorrow. Vesta, the asteroid, is in conjunction with the star cluster M22 in the southwestern evening sky. You'll probably need a pair of binoculars to see that because you can't see the star cluster any other way. Vesta is going to be needed. You'll need binoculars to see Vesta as well. Slide Master, slide number 18. On December the 3rd, in the evening sky, the moon will cult, or in other words, will block our view of the Pleiades star cluster. We just heard about the Pleiades. We used to think there was only about 150 stars in that star cluster. Well, now we know there's thousands. Thank you, Brenda, for letting us know. You probably won't see the Pleiades star cluster with just your two eyes. I would suggest you get a pair of binoculars and observe the event. It will take place over a period of time of a few hours just after dark. Slide Master, slide number 19. In the early morning sky of December the 7th, there's a conjunction of the Moon, the planet Jupiter, and the bright star Pollux. That's in the constellation of Gemini. A conjunction is a gathering of two or more objects close to each other in the sky. Slide Master, slide number 20. On the night of December the 8th and 9th is the peak of two minor meteor showers, the Monoserids and the Sigma Hydraids meteor shower. Both will have about a handful of meteors per hour. Now, most of the time you'll see most of the meteors just the hour before dawn, because that's the side of the Earth that's running into the debris left behind by the comet or asteroid. To get detailed information about how to observe meteors and meteor showers, you can visit the National Meteor Organization at imo.net or the American Meteor Society at amsmeteors.org. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 21. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have a question or need to fill for any of the information? Or maybe you just have a general astronomy question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill. Kind of quiet out there. Slide Master, slide number 22. So as the moon wanes next week, so do these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live right now. Until next time, actually, we'll continue on with Skynet with other segments, and I've got another segment too. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet, transmitting on the W5FC repeater at a 146.88 megahertz with a private line tone of 110.9. All right, the next segment is space exploration and space history. Gus, I think this is yours. W5GUS, it's yours. I love your call sign.
Well, thank you, Chaz. W5GUS here. Yes, it's been a pretty busy week in space exploration this past week. First item up is SpaceX successfully completed its 150th Falcon 9 mission of the year, launching another batch of Starlink satellites into orbit. This milestone highlights the rapid cadence of SpaceX's operation and its dominant role in the commercial launch sector, significantly expanding the Starlink Internet constellation. All right, and on November 27th, our Thanksgiving this year, November 27, 2025, Soyuz MS-28 launches crew to the International Space Station. It lifted off from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, carrying NASA astronaut Chris Williams and Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kudsevenchikov and Sergei Mikhayev to the International Space Station. This mission continues the international collaboration aboard the ISS, ensuring continuous human presence and research in low Earth orbit. Okay, the next day, November 28th, 2025, the French Ariane group achieved a successful launch of its new Psi-LX sounding rocket, marking a significant step toward establishing a sovereign suborbital launch capability for France. This development is crucial for advancing European independent access to space and for testing new technologies for future larger launch vehicles. And November 27th, also 2025, during the launch of that Soyuz MS-28 that we heard, I just mentioned a little earlier, the launch pad at the Cosmodrome sustained damage. This incident raises concerns about the integrity of the aging infrastructure there in Russia and could potentially lead to delays for upcoming Russian crewed missions, impacting the schedule of future space flights from the historic site. And I guess flights up to possibly the ISS. Okay, and announced this week, doesn't say when, a recent measurement of radio galaxies have provided data suggesting that our solar system is moving through the universe at more than 3 times the speed previously predicted by standard cosmological models. This discovery could have profound implications for our understanding of galactic dynamics and the large-scale structure of the cosmos. Okay, lots of space-related birthdays also this past week. Let's see, November 23rd, 1935, Vladislav Volkov was born. He was on Soyuz 7 and Soyuz 11. He was a Soviet cosmonaut who flew 11 missions, Soyuz 7 and Soyuz 11 missions. His second mission, Soyuz 11, tragically ended with the death of the crew due to decompression of this capsule during re-entry. All right, November 25th, 1940, Reinhard Führer was born. He was on STS-61 Alpha. He was a German physicist and astronaut who flew on the Space Shuttle Challenger mission. During the Spacelab mission, he conducted experiments on the effects of microgravity on materials and the human body. Okay, November 26, 1937, Boris Yegorov was born. He was a Soviet physician and cosmonaut who was a member of the Voskhod 1 crew. This mission was the first to carry more than one person into space, and Yegorov conducted medical research during the flight. November 26, 1963, Richard Arnold was born. He was on STS-119 and Soyuz. Richard is a NASA astronaut who was flown on 2 space missions, including a flight on the Space Shuttle Discovery to the International Space Station. He has conducted 5 spacewalks during his career. Okay, November 27th, 1930, James Taylor, not that James Taylor, but this is the James Taylor who was a U.S. Air Force astronaut selected for the Manned Orbiting Laboratory. The program was canceled before he had a chance to fly in space. Okay, also on November 27th, but 17 years later, in 1947, Kent Bailey was selected as a NASA astronaut in 2025. He is a U.S. Army aviator and will undergo 2 years of training before being eligible for a space flight assignment. Also, November 22nd, 1952, about 5 years after Kent, was James Weatherby. He was on several shuttle missions, STS-32, 52, 63, 86, 102, and 113. He's a former NASA astronaut who is the only American to have commanded 5 space shuttle missions. He flew a total of 6 missions, contributing to the construction and operation of the International Space Station. All right. The next day, November 28th in 1951, Barbara Morgan was born. She was on STS-118. She's an American teacher and former NASA astronaut who flew on Space Shuttle Mission 118. She was the first teacher to go into space, and she conducted educational outreach activities from orbit. Okay, we'll move on to this week in space history. November 24th, 1969, Apollo 11 splashed down. It was the second mission to land humans on the moon, successfully returning to Earth on November 24th, 1969. The mission was a resounding success, demonstrating precision landing capabilities near Surveyor 3 and collecting lunar samples. Astronauts Pete Conrad and Alan Bean spent over 31 hours on the lunar surface performing 2 EVAs. Their meticulous work provided invaluable data for lunar science. The successful splashdown marked another triumph for NASA's Apollo program. All right, November 25th, 1964, Mariner 4 had a historic Mars flyby. It launched toward Mars on November 25th, 64, eventually providing the first close-range images of the red planet. This groundbreaking mission conducted a successful flyby on July 14th, 65, capturing 22 images that revealed a cratered moon-like surface, surprising many scientists. Mariner 4's data drastically changed perceptions of Mars and paved the way for future planetary missions. Its success was a pivotal moment in robotic space exploration. Okay, on November 26, 2011, NASA's Mars Science Laboratory mission carrying the Curiosity rover launched on November 26, 2011 from Cape Canaveral. Curiosity's primary mission is to assess whether Mars ever had an environment capable of supporting microbial life. The rover successfully landed in Gale Crater in August 2012 and has since been exploring the Martian surface. It has provided a wealth of data confirming the past presence of liquid water and organic molecules on Mars. All right, we'll move on to November 24th, 1958. NASA officially named its first human spaceflight program Project Mercury. This ambitious program aimed to put a human into orbit around Earth and return them safely to Earth. The selection of the Mercury 7 astronauts followed shortly after. Project Mercury laid the foundational techniques for human spaceflight, including capsule design, launch procedures, and re-entry protocols. It was a crucial precursor to the Gemini and Apollo missions. and then more recently, November 24th, 2025, China launched the uncrewed Shenzhou 22 spacecraft to the Tiangong space station. This was an unprecedented emergency launch to provide a return vehicle for the Shenzhou 21 crew. Their original spacecraft, Shenzhou 20, was reportedly damaged by space debris, necessitating its rapid response. This event marks the first emergency launch in China's manned space program, highlighting the unforeseen challenges of long-duration space missions. Okay, and with that, we will return back to you, Chaz, and anxiously await Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Back to you, Chaz, W5GUS.
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to let all of you out there know there's another reason why Barbara Morgan is famous, not just because she's an astronaut, but she received a kiss from Chaz before she went into orbit. She was the backup teacher from Kristen McAuliffe, and she did make it into orbit. Yep, I kissed her in front of her husband, and everyone in the area laughed. There's a story behind that, but we'll do that story another time. Are you curious? Yeah. It's a funny thing. Oh, the next segment is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. But before we do that, let's see if we've got any more check-ins. If there's a person on the radio that would like to check in, please come now with your call sign, slowly, phonetically, your name, and your location.
All right, let's see if this one works out any better. This is Kilo November 5, Echo, Echo, Echo. And my name is Al. I'm from Allen, Texas.
Oh, I had most of your call sign. I went back and looked through our records. KN5EEE Al from Allen, Texas. Thank you so much. You are number 19 on our list of sign-ins for Skynet. Are there any other check-ins that would like to come now with your call sign, your name, and your location to check into Skynet this evening?
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth.
No check-in, but I am very curious. W5GUS, Chaz.
Okay, I guess there's time. I'll tell the story here in just a minute. Sean in Fort Worth, could you repeat your call sign once more?
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, KB9SOK.
Sean, I appreciate that. Okay, Gus. I went through a teacher and training myself. There were 25 teachers that were chosen across the country to go through an in-depth 2-week study program at Johnson Space Center. I got to be one of those people. We've got to do all sorts of things in NASA, but that just happened after the 9/11 incident, so we didn't get to do everything. We got to do 80% of what we were scheduled to do. We actually lived in the astronaut quarters that were there in Houston, actually in the Galveston area. And there was a place that we met in the mornings to catch our bus to go to the Johnson Space Center. And one morning, there was a bunch of Hershey's Kisses in the dish, so I grabbed a bunch and put it in my pocket. And the rest of the day, I was kissing people, just the women in the group, with Hershey's Kisses. So that night, we were at a banquet, and someone said, why don't you go up and kiss Barbara Morgan? So I reached in my pocket, and I was out of Hershey Kisses. And everyone in the group thought it was so funny. So I reached my hand out to Barbara's hand, grabbed her hand, and kissed her on her hand. That was in front of her husband. The entire group cracked up laughing because they knew what had happened. They informed Barbara that I was going to kiss her with a Hershey's kiss, but that didn't work out because I ran out. Did that help you out, Gus?
That's a great story. Inquiring minds wanted to know. Thank you, Chaz. W5GUS.
Thanks for asking. So, does that mean some of my DNA went into outer space? Yeah, probably not. I'm sure she'll wash your hands promptly after that. All right, the next segment is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. And once again, this is KF5JHA Chaz. Slide Master, slide number 23. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key, Carolyn KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen over Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total number of constellations, so Ms. Carolyn covers the entire sky as seen over North Texas in a year. In her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Ms. Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is actually a twofer: Aries the Ram and Triangulum the Triangle. Slide Master, slide number 24. Actually, I've expanded it. I do sometimes 2 constellations per week instead of just 1. And so we actually cover probably about 70 of the 88 constellations, because there's some low in the south that I like to try to cover anyway. In mythology, Aries, the ram, represents the ram, which is the source of the Golden Fleece. The Golden Fleece was the central story of Jason and the Argonauts. So Slide Master, slide number 24 is the Jokes of the Week, and here we go. I couldn't figure out why the male sheep is called a ram. Then it hit me. Oh, come on, that was funny. Why did the ram run off the cliff? He didn't see the U-turn. E-W-E-U turn. What do you call it when a shepherd can't find his ram? That would be memory loss. Get it? Computers, memory, RAM? Okay. A triangle says to the circle, you're pointless. Yeah, we have 2 constellations, right? The ram and the triangle. What kind of triangle is a tortilla chip? It's an isosceles triangle. Salsa. Get it? If you build a triangle with sticks, would it be trigonometry? Oh, I couldn't help myself. We have to have a bonus Jokes of the Week, because we are coming up on the Christmas season. We just had Black Friday yesterday. So here we go. Slide Master, slide number 25, some even more Jokes of the Week. So how is the snow globe feeling this time of the year? It's feeling a little shaken. What did the snowman order at Wendy's? Oh, that's an easy one. Come on, it's a Frosty. What did the icy road say to the truck? Do you want to go for a spin? What food do you get when you cross Frosty with a bear? A burger. Get a Frosty, burr, and a burger. What did the big furry hat say to the warm woolly scarf? You hang around here while I go on ahead. Well, it's in the season, so I figured I'd do those. I guess I could have done those closer to Christmas. This is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 26. A star, Marsopen. The name appears to have been lost in antiquity, what its meaning is. Richard Allen notes a possible connection to the Hebrew word Marsopen, meaning ministers, but acknowledges, I'm getting interrupted by Bob the cat, he's climbing over me, acknowledges that this connection may be erroneous. William Tyler Alcott, in his book Star Lore, Myths, Legends, and Facts, notes that the star has been translated to 2 attendants, which is a reference to both Beta and Gamma being the 2 attendant stars of Hamel. It's a binary star and is one of the early examples of discovery being found to be a double star by Robert Hooke in 1664 while he was tracking a comet passing through Aries. The two stars are very close to each other, separated by only 7 arc seconds, but can be easily split in small telescopes. Components A and B have almost equal magnitudes of 4.52 and 4.58. Slide master, slide number 27. NGC, which stands for New General Catalog 772, is a spiral galaxy and is listed as being about 98 million light years away. Dave Hutchinson, in his article in the Spectrum, writes that he has been able to spot NGC 772 in a 4.5-inch reflector telescope from his dark sky site. In the Night Sky Observer Sky, George Keppel and Glenn Sanner note that NGC 772 is the brightest galaxy in Aries and has a magnitude 10.3, which is not that bright, and can be seen in an 8 to 10-inch telescope easily. Shows a small, bright core surrounded by a very faint, diffuse halo. Slide master, slide number 28. Object NGC 972 is a spiral galaxy, but a fainter magnitude, 11.4. Dave Hutchinson writes, he has found reports of observers of this galaxy made with a 4-inch refractor. He did not specifically call NGC 972 a challenge object, but did make a challenge reference of trying to observe the galaxy with small aperture instruments. View of NGC 972 is quite oblique. It's not an edge-on view, but it's fairly close to being edge-on, which made it appear to Dave Hutchinson to be an elliptical galaxy. Slide master, slide number 29. The constellation of Triangulum has been known to be since ancient times. It's known to be Delatron to the ancient Greeks. Similar to the Greek letter delta. It's similar in shape and also led to the association with the river Nile, particularly the Nile Delta. Iota Triangulum, also known as Six Trianguli, is double star is unable to be split at 42 power, at 81 power, to be split, but the two stars are very close together. At 126 power, they're easily split. The pair consists of a brighter star and a fainter star. The fainter star looks bluish, the brighter star is a sort of a goldish color. In Triangulum number 15, it's a double star, it's easily split. 50 millimeter finder scope is definitely a binocular object. At 42 power, it's another Alberio wannabe, a yellowish brighter star and a bluish green companion. Again, the color contrast is not as pronounced as Alberio itself. This is such an easy double that at 42 power, you can drive a Mack truck between the two stars of 15 Triangulum. Slide master, slide number 30. The showpiece is M33. It's a galaxy. It was discovered by Charles Messier himself on August 25th, 1764. Burnham's Celestial Handbook calls this one of the notable discoveries of Messier. M33 is a type SC spiral galaxy and is being a member of our own local group of galaxies. It's one of the closest galaxies to the Earth. M33 is often called the Triangulum Galaxy or the Pinwheel Galaxy. It shares its nickname Pinwheel with M101 in Ursa Major. Compared to M31, the Andromeda Galaxy, for our own, M33 is relatively small spiral, being about 50 to 60,000 light years in diameter, compared to Andromeda's 150,000 light years and Milky Way's 100,000 light years in diameter. M33 and M31 are both roughly the same distance from the Earth, about 2.3 or 2.4 million light years away. Robert Burnham Jr. in Celestial Handbook writes that it's an interesting note that M33 and M31 are only about 570,000 light years apart, 4 times closer than either is to our own Milky Way. In fact, Stephen James Romero in his book, The Messier Objects, notes that M33 may be a satellite of galaxy M31, orbiting just as our moon orbits the Earth. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide master, slide number 30. There are a few more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Aries the Ram and Triangulum the Triangle. I've given you just a sampling of some of those objects. The Astronomical League has, at last count, 96 different observing programs. Most of them have about 100 objects. Now, if you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen from the Astronomical League in about a year. Slide master, slide number 32, and that is Miss Carolyn's Constellations of the Week, Aries the Ram and Triangulum the Triangle. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for their research and work on deep sky objects for that borrow and steal for Aries Skynet. I at time use the website constellation-guide.com for information as well. Next week we'll take a look at another twofer. Pisces the Fishes, yep. Is the plural fish or fishes? The answer is yes. And Cetus the sea monster. We know about the story about Cetus the sea monster. Now the next segment that we have is space launches of the week, and also things we can see flying through the sky, satellites. Tom, KE5ICX, if you can make it to the repeater, you are welcome to do both those segments back to back.
All right, hopefully my audio is okay. How does that sound, Chaz? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think you're louder than you were before. Please continue. This is KF5JJ.
All right, thank you, Chaz. This is KE5ICX. We have from Spaceflight Now launch schedule from December 1st. Skylink 6-86 will be our next launch. This will be from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy. This will be 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites that will be launched into low Earth orbit about 8.5 minutes after liftoff. First stage booster, tail number B1095, will be launching for the 4th time and will land on a drone ship. Just read the instructions. On December 1st, Vega C CompSat 7 will launch from Europe spaceport Conroe, French Guiana. This one is a Vega C rocket. It will take a satellite into sun-synchronous orbit. The 2,000 kilogram satellite will provide high-resolution imagery to the government of South Korea. Then on December 1st and 2nd, this will be overnight, Starlink 15-10 will launch on a Falcon 9. This will be 27 Starlink V2 mini satellites that will go into low Earth orbit. Then on December 2nd, Falcon 9 Starlink 6-95. This will launch from SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral. Another 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites will go into low Earth orbit. On December 4th, everybody repeat after me, Starlink 11-25 on a Falcon 9. This one will launch from Vandenberg over on the west coast, SLC-4E. This will be 28 Starlink V2 mini satellites that will launch into low Earth orbit. Then we have overnight, December 4th or 5th, the Electron Rise and Shine, it's called. This will be from Launch Complex 1, Pad A at Mahia, New Zealand. The Electron Lab, Rocket Lab Electron rocket will launch a rapid innovation payload for JAXA. The single satellite contains 8 technology demonstrations by various universities, research institutions, and companies in Japan. This is the first dedicated Electron launch for JAXA and the first of 2 launches planned for the agency's Innovative Scientific Technology Demonstration Program. And we have December 6th, 7th, there will be an H3 launch. This is from the Yoshinobu Launch Complex in Japan. The H3 launch vehicle will develop through a partnership between Mitsubishi Heavy Industries and JAXA, will launch the Michibiki number 5 Quasi-Zenith Satellite System, or QZS-5. This will be the eighth launch of the H-3 rocket. December 7th, Falcon 9 Starlink 11-15. This will launch from SOC-4E at Vandenberg. 28 Starlink V2 mini satellites. December 7th, Falcon 9 Starlink 6-92. This one will be from 39A at Kennedy. 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites. Oh boy, wasn't that fun. Hold on, let me pause for a second. Visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. We have several here. I'm going to tell you, you've hit pay dirt. The ISS has a bunch of really good passes this week, so I'm only going to name a few of them. We have ISS on November 30th. This will be at 4:10 p.m. to 4:18 p.m. That's an 8-minute pass, minus 1.8 magnitude, northwest to southeast. November 30th again, 90 minutes later, 5:47 p.m. to 5:53. This is about a 6-minute pass with a minus 3.6 magnitude. Very brilliant. Out of the northwest to the south. December 1st, 4:58 p.m. to 5:06, 8-minute pass, minus 3.3 magnitude, northwest to the south-southeast. December 1st, 6:35 p.m. Again, this is 90 minutes later to 6:39. It's about a 4-minute pass, minus 1.2 magnitude, west-southwest to south-southwest. December 2nd, we have 4:09 p.m. to 4:17, 8-minute pass, minus 2 magnitude. Again, 90 minutes later, 5:46 to 5:52, a 6-minute pass, minus 2.3 magnitude, northwest to south-southwest. Third has 4:58 p.m. to 5:06, about an 8-minute pass, minus 2.1. You get the picture. This goes on and on for the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So I'm going to skip those because it just goes on and on. Then we have Tiangong Space Station in orbit, the Chinese space station. There are 2 passes on December 2nd. This one's not quite so good, but not bad. 6:04 a.m. to 6:09 a.m. This is a 5-minute pass, 0.2 magnitude out of the southwest to the east-southwest. And then again, 90 minutes later, there's 6:40. Is that right? 42. It says 40 minutes. That doesn't sound right. But at any rate, there's a second pass. I think this may be wrong. It says 6:42 a.m. to 6:47, about a 5-minute pass out of the west-southwest to the southeast. So I'm going to leave it there. Definitely, this is your week to see what's going on with the International Space Station. Some very brilliant passes coming up. So by all means, get out there just around sunset, and you'll be rewarded with at least a couple of passes. All this information is from the Spaceflight Now. I'm sorry, heavens-above.com. You can go there and find the information, plug in your longitude, latitude, or your city and state, and it will give you all this Kuiper information. Back to you, Chaz, KE5 ICX.
You know, we've occasionally had a ISS passage during Skynet, and we've interrupted Skynet for everyone to go outside and take a look. But that wouldn't happen tonight since we've got clouds and rain. So anyway, thank you so much, Tom. Really appreciate it. Tom, thank you for all you do. You know, Tom originated Skynet back in 2012, and he still continues to take very dear care of Skynet every week. Thank you so much, Tom. So we've got another check-in over on Echolink. That's Glenn in Rockwall, KG5 QXI. And Glenn, would you like to check in by voice? Please come out with your check-in. That's okay. Glenn, we've got you checked in, so thank you very much. He tried a couple times on Echolink and for some reason it didn't work. All right. So are there any other check-ins that would like to make the roll call for today over on radio? Please come down with your call sign.
Normal state. Dallas races net, first and third Sunday, 8 p.m., W5FC.
I have a couple of people that checked in over on the electronic check-in. I already have you, Dale. But we also have Clay, N5OF, one of my neighbors. Wait, Clay says he's in Lampasas, not in Mesquite. He must be visiting for Thanksgiving somewhere else. Yep, okay, great. Nice to see you, Clay. So with that, we've got, let's see, I think we've got 21 check-ins, if I added this all up, correct? 21 for tonight's Skynet. Now, are there any last words? Does anyone want to make an announcement? Anyone want to make a comment? Have a question? Come now with your call sign and your name.
operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net.
Yes, not. We took it right up to the limit. Tonight we had 21 hams participating on the air and on Echolink and electronic check-in. Thank you for all who checked in this evening. We hope you learned. I hope that you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We also are looking for net control stations. Hey, if I can do this, anybody can do this. For not just this net, but any and other DARC nets. If you'd like to try your hand, contact one of the net controls or send the email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussions about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and X, as well as the audio and video streams and video archives and the other things listed on the internet. Net controlled by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is KF5JHA Chaz, and I'll be closing the net at 10:21 p.m. local time and returning this repeater to normal amateur use. 73, everybody, and hope you enjoy the evening discovering the universe.
And we'll be back in about 5 minutes to do the Afterglow movie net. Tonight's movie is the Quatermass Experiment from 1955. So come on back. Even if you didn't see the movie, come on back and we'll talk about science fiction in general. Be back in 5.
Sorry about that. NT 5 p.m.
Okay, we're going to give this a college try and see if it works. This is KE5ICX. I'll try and be the net control. Bill, N5BB, if you're out there, keep an eye out. We'll see how this goes. If my audio isn't up to snuff, then I'll switch it over to someone else. Tonight's Afterglow Movie Net is the Quatermass Experiment from 1955. This is from a television show that actually took place in the summer, I think, of 1953. I'm going by memory here. It was a big success. It was event television back in those days. Everybody went home, and it was in Great Britain, went home to watch this series, which was 30 minutes each week for a total of 6 episodes. Only 2 of the episodes actually remain still. The rest... these were all done live, by the way, and the final 2 episodes that were done live, they had some technical difficulties, which I guess kind of made the ending a little flat. But never fear, because it was so popular, they decided to make a motion picture, and that is this motion picture. There's a trilogy of these motion pictures. 2 of them were from the television series that were created. And the third one was a motion picture in 1967 from a teleplay that had been set up and turned into the motion picture. At any rate, let me tell you the plot. A British-American rocket group headed by Professor Bernard Quatermass launches its first crewed rocket into outer space. All contact is soon lost with the rocket and its 3-man crew, Karun, Reichman, and Green. The rocket later returns to Earth, crashing into an English country field. Quatermass, yes, it's very hard to say, Quatermass, and his assistant Marsh arrive at the scene. When they are with them are the local emergency services, Karun's wife Judith, rocket crew physician Dr. Briscoe, and Blake, a ministry official who chides Quatermass for launching the rocket without official permission. When the rocket's hatches opens, Karun stumbles out in shock, only able to say the words, "Help me." Inside the rocket, Quatermass and Marsh find only the fastened but empty spacesuits of Reichenheim and Green. Karun is taken to Briscoe's laboratory facility on the grounds that conventional hospitals would have no one would have any idea how to treat Karun, now suffering from an adverse outer space event. Under Briscoe's care, Karun remains mute, generally immobile but alert. Briscoe discovers a disfigured area on Karun's shoulder and notices that changes in his face, suggesting a mutation underlying bone structure. Let's see here. Oh, this thing goes on and on. At any rate, it goes on to say we have alien that escapes and grows ever larger, and they have to stop it. I would read the rest of this, but this is pretty long. I thought I had the short version of it, but I do not. So we'll just leave it at that. We had a number of different people in the film. There was about 24 folks. Cast had Brian Donlevy as Professor Bernard Quatermass. He was not well received in this, although I think he did an okay job. Richard Wordsworth as Victor Karun, who I think was best performance. Jack Warner as Inspector Lomax, the only guy that seemed to have the head on his shoulders in this entire thing, and a whole bunch of other people we don't know. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and take check-ins. So at this point, please come with your call sign, your name, and did you see tonight's movie, Quatermass Experiment from 1955?
November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Bill and Irving, yes, I saw this movie. And Tom, if you fade out, I will take over net control.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas, back inside from plant duties, and yes, I saw the movie. The plants did not creep up and try to kill me.
November Victor 5, Foxtrot, Virginia, in Fort Worth. Yes, I saw this movie, and I was wrestling with plants earlier this evening in B5F. Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth. Yes, I did see this movie, and no, I didn't have any plans to wrestle tonight.
This is WB5 OZL in Dallas. Name's Brenda. And yes, I did see this movie. And yes, I had planned duty.
All right, let me go ahead and get these check-ins. I've got N5BB, Bill in Irving. Yes, he saw the film, and thank you, Bill, for being my backup tonight. NT5TM, Tony in Dallas. Yes, he saw the film. NV5F, Virginia, Fort Worth. I believe she said yes, she did see the film. KB9SOK, Sean, also in Fort Worth. I believe he said yes, he saw that film. And WB5OZL, Brenda in Dallas. Yes, she saw the film. Any additional check-ins, please come now. Okay, I didn't hear any. By the way, MeTV is showing, I know I should be watching something else, but MeTV is showing A Very Brady Christmas for their horror movie tonight. And I would agree with them. It probably is a horror movie. By the way, they never redecorated the house 30 years later. That's pretty scary in and of itself. Okay, starting at the top, we'll go with Bill. That would be N5BB. Our first round has to do with plot. So here it is, Quatermass Experiment. Bill, what did you think about the plot from KE5 ICX?
Very good, Tom. This is N5BB. And Tom, I give you excellent marks for pronouncing Quatermass without an R before the T. You did a great job. By the way, the movie itself, the word experiment was spelled with no initial E. Experiment on the actual movie title was Xperiment, for whatever reason. Plot. Well, I took notes, so I have a secret advantage here. I've got my notes. There are things I like about the plot, and there are things I don't like about the plot. There's a lot of unscientific things about it. Of course, you could always say, oh, but we haven't discovered that science yet. But no, I really don't think that some life out in space would permeate through the cabin of the sealed spacecraft and infect the people. I don't believe that. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I mean, number one, the other life doesn't know anything about us, probably, so how would he know how to even do that? So I don't believe the basic premise, but it was kind of an interesting movie. Things about the plot. There's some things that they spent a lot of time on. I guess it's because it allowed them to take up a lot of the movie with action rather than just sitting there doing nothing. The example of this is right at the start when the rocket crashes. You notice it doesn't crash in what we would think of the normal sense. The rocket seems to be fully intact. It's just shoved into the ground, which would not happen. There's no way that the strength of that rocket skin could withstand being shoved down to the ground like that without, collapsing, and it would really break apart into a trillion pieces like a commercial aircraft does when it hits the ground at high speed, or a fighter jet. But anyway, but during the first scenes, they spent a lot of time with the fire brigade and the police and the ambulances, and I think it's just to give you, I guess, engage with the movie and have some action and things like that. And it didn't require any special effects, but it was fun looking at it. In 1955, the fire brigade trucks, the guys were hanging on for dear life to the truck, and the guy riding shotgun, the other person in the front seat, was manually ringing the bell. He was reaching up and banging the bell manually, the clapper, pulling it around, which I thought was really fun to see that. So I don't know, that was kind of fun watching all that, but it ate up quite a bit of time. And the firemen all spraying the water and all that stuff. The premise of, and we've seen other movies with premises kind of like this. It's kind of like The Mystery. You have a sealed room, and somebody dies in the room. What happened? Well, in this case, you had 3 astronauts inside a sealed rocket, and only one comes back. What happened? And they explain it kind of tangentially, in that the infection from the alien life form kind of ate the 3 astronauts, essentially. And leaving, the combined thing it left was what seemed to look like an astronaut. For some reason, they didn't explain why it still looked like a human and why it wasn't just a slime blob like it is later in the movie. That's not explained, which I think is a big hole in the movie. But we've seen this before, some spacecraft goes off, and when it comes back, nobody can figure out what happened. And initially that was the case here. I've got a quote which I thought was interesting. It shows I'll leave this for later. It's a quote from Quatermass. It's funny, I think. Other things in the plot, just like a lot of movies like this, they put this creature, which they already knew is maybe alien or related to something weird happening out there. They put him in the hospital with zero security. If there a guard there? Is there a locked door? Is there anything? No, there's nothing. So his wife, who's, I guess, kind of stupid, she convinces some other guy to go in and steal him, which should not have ever happened. That's crazy. So that's kind of a plot hole, if you ask me. The alien infection infecting humans and plants and everything, to me, that's a plot hole, but the whole movie is based on it, so I guess we have to swallow it. This is another one of those movies where the alien creature becomes an ooze, which can climb over things, etc. So they did that, which is also on other. There's been other science fiction movies from that time that had similar blobs or something. They were either a giant insect or a giant human or a giant blob, and this was the giant blob. It was kind of interesting that early television was really involved with the plot. This is in 5BD. And, of course, the British got Westminster Abbey, which everybody in Great Britain was very familiar with. They got it involved in the plot. And, of course, the power to London diverted, which didn't make any sense to me. How could they possibly get cables to that thing that would require so much power they'd have to turn off the rest of the city? I don't think it made any sense. It would have taken them at least a week to bring in some heavy stuff to do that. So I didn't believe that. But anyway. And of course, like a lot of these movies, they can't get rid of the creature in the regular way. Of course, they didn't even try shooting it or using flamethrowers. They just electrocuted it. And, electricity is special, just like the Frankenstein monster was brought to life by electricity. And back in the mid-20th century, they were learning how to use electricity to electrocute people in prisons. So I guess that's one of the reasons they thought about using electricity to kill it. So I don't know. To me, it was an engaging plot, but there's so many scientific holes in it. That's all I got in 5BD.
All right, thank you, Bill. Thanks to you for those comments. You were actually kind of nice about the whole thing. You didn't go through every plot hang-up or problem, but you did okay. You were rather nice to them in the end. I don't think I would have been as nice, but at any rate, we will move on. Next up is Tony, NT5TM. Tony, please continue the conversation. I'm sure you have something to say about this this movie from KE5 ICX.
As I know a number of people have thought and are probably thinking now, we have definitely seen worse. But I really did prefer last week's Quatermass 2, or Quatermass 2, the strange cinematography of the oil refinery with hardly anyone in it, the zombie-like troopers. That was much more menacing. I have to say, there was no point in this plot where I ever felt scared or even concerned. Virginia popped up in the Facebook discussion chat last night and said, "Oh, I just got here. What's happened?" And I have to read my summary now because it made me laugh. A rocket has crashed. The sole survivor is in a hospital. There was some silent security camera footage from inside the rocket that showed people moving about and doing nothing in particular. But sometimes the light was very bright while they did nothing. Yeah, there were some flashes and shimmers, but Why would anyone even watch that? There was nothing to see. What the plot of this movie had in common with the plot of Quatermass 2 that we saw last week was they seemed determined to have nothing happen. To have nothing happen and have it take as long as possible for nothing to happen. Now, I know I have to remind myself that we're watching an American knockoff of a British miniseries that apparently in this case was mostly not recorded at all. It's all lost to history. But I think something is shining through from that original series where you had to spend 6 weeks watching a 90-minute movie, or 6 months, or whatever it was. They were determined to have nothing happen and have that take as long as possible. I felt that theme was the dominant theme of this movie, not the dangers of exploration, not the dangers of hubris, not the dangers of being bad at calculus. Nope, the dangers of having anything happen before you ended in a minor cliffhanger to keep people watching next week. So for me, I think this was pretty inferior. It was just as slow, but without any of the surreal stuff that made last week's movie a little scary and kept me wanting to watch it. Too slow, nothing happened, except occasionally there were bright lights or shimmers. NT5TM.
All right, thank you, Tony. And you came back more what I was thinking Bill would do, but you're both being kind of kind to the film. Next up is Virginia, NV5F. Virginia, your thoughts on the plot?
Well, I don't know if I have a lot to add. It was a pretty boilerplate plot about the fears concerning space exploration. It was several years before they put a man in space, so I thought it was interesting that Mr. Quatermass, which that's the solution, is the way the Brits, and I guess Mr. Quatermass himself pronounced his name Quatermass. So if you say a long A, it helps keep you from wanting to put an R in there. So I think that's how they dealt with it. They all said Quatermass. And they did it in the second one, too. I thought it was interesting that the experiment was that he sent a rocket up with 3 guys in it, and it only went 1,500 miles up. So it was essentially, I guess, just orbiting the Earth, and I guess there was some kind of something that happened in orbit, and it made the guys, I guess, all turn into one guy or the other 2 guys turn into goo or something. I thought I heard them say, how can that be what's left of 2 human beings? But for some reason, the 3rd guy didn't do it. It didn't happen to him right away. And I guess because there was only one injured guy left, that the rocket crashed because maybe he steered it the wrong way or fired the engines at the wrong time or something. So for me, just the lack of scientific just physics-based anything on that it crashed in the first place, or like Bill said, how it crashed, which was kind of hilarious. But it was an intriguing beginning to a movie probably back then, to have it maybe be less about, aliens are coming down like in The Day the Earth Stood Still, or aliens are invading, or we're going to the moon, or, it was just, we're orbiting the Earth, and, something bad happened just in the orbit of the Earth. So that was kind of something, I guess, that was maybe way more novel back then than now. And, it was a lot of action at the beginning trying to, I guess, get people interested, but then it had that leisurely British feel, or just the feel of something that had a very straightforward plot but didn't really have any real plot twists or secondary plots. Really, there was no intricacy of the story. It was this guy, is suffering from some kind of contamination that happened, and made the film look weird, and it overexposed occasionally, and everybody got sick, and that was it. They didn't know anything after that. That was about where I came in last night. I walked in and it started while they were watching the film, so I had to go back this evening and watch the first part of it, which enlightened me a little bit, but didn't really give me a whole lot else to go on. There was kind of the reverse Frankenstein thing, where he was kind of like a Frankenstein sort of guy. I mean, I felt sorry for him. I thought the acting was really good. I know that's round 2, but I guess I'm kind of a sympathetic person, so I felt sorry for Victor, and I believe Victor was Dr. Frankenstein's name. And I felt for him, and I was glad that it seemed like he was at least sort of, trying not to hurt people, but then he would just sort of lose control, and so I did kind of feel sorry for him, and it was kind of a combination of, at the end, I felt like it was a combination of Frankenstein and Quasimodo at the end. Now he's this glob tentacle thing in Westminster Abbey, and somehow they need the electricity from the entire city of London when they probably didn't need that much electricity to electrocute him. So I was a little bit affected by the ending, and it was sad and tragic, in a real boilerplate sort of predictable way. And the Quatermass and his people and the police won in the end, and all that. So yeah, straightforward. They squeezed about 45 minutes worth of plot into 90 minutes worth of movie, with lots of walking around and talking and not much happening and taking a long time, and things just took longer back then, though. It's like watching an episode of Star Trek. You're like, wow, they're squeezing a 30-minute plot into a 53-minute episode here. And it makes it feel slower, but that's just kind of how things were back then. People kind of expected that, and they weren't ever confused about what was going on, that's for sure. So anyway, plot was okay. It was it was pretty predictable, but it was all right. I didn't hate it. Back to net in V5F.
All right, thank you, Virginia, and all good points. You were rather nice too. Next up is Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, your thoughts on the plot for tonight's movie, Quatermass Experiment from 1955.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. A lot of the plot has already been covered. Yeah, the whole rocket not being obliterated when it came back in. And even if it had survived, how did the astronaut survive? And apparently was not even in a seat or anything. I mean, he would have been crushed, even if he was part alien, I believe. So that made no sense. And yeah, how did the alien get in there in a sealed spaceship? And then even once they got him out, I'm assuming this rocket program was governmentally funded. So yeah, why wasn't this guy in the hospital from the get-go? They just let him take the guy back to a lab, and where they appeared to do no real experiments, or other than taking his temperature, maybe some skin samples. Yeah, that just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And then there was did that? Whatever the alien was take him over, but didn't turn him into goo in space? And why did he slowly transform into goo eventually? And I realized when this was made, it was maybe that was kind of the thing. It reminded me a lot of the old first season of the original Doctor Who, or even season 2. In one of those seasons, they had the monsters like that, and it definitely felt like British type of sci-fi for that time in that era. So not surprising there. The other part that I agree with everybody says the electricity thing was completely ridiculous. Yeah, they didn't need to shut the city off to do that. But yeah, it's like last week's movie. This was just a lot of walking around, a lot of our main antagonist just yelling at people and being angry. He seems to be the same character in every one of these. And I said this last night, it's like, why does anybody let this guy put rockets into space? Every time he does, aliens come back. Maybe that was the premise of this show. Just every week, they sent up another rocket, and another alien came back. And then, at the end, it closes with him sending another rocket into space, I guess, for the third series. So yeah, it was just kind of ridiculous. Kind of compared to last week, there's a few things I probably liked a little better about last week. There might have been a few very minor things this week I liked better about this one, but overall, yeah, I didn't hate it, but I didn't really like it either. I really wouldn't watch this one again. Oh, the other thing I thought was strange too, his wife worked so hard to get him out of the hospital, and the moment she sees his deformed arm, she just gives up and doesn't, try to help him anymore. So I thought that was kind of sad. Yeah, I think everybody's pretty well covered the rest of the plot holes, so I'll go ahead and send it back to Matt, KB9SOK.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, so it was lukewarm on that one. Let's see. Next up is Brenda, WB5OZL. Brenda, you saw the film last night. Your thoughts on the plot?
This is WB5OZL. Well, I'm pretty much in agreement with everybody on most things. One way these old movies managed to survive is they save money by just having a lot of useless dialogue rather than any kind of action or, spaceships or car crashes or things like that. They just have everybody talk everything to death because the actors are captive anyway, and that way they can burn up a lot of film, but rather pointlessly in my opinion, because it just didn't, this thing didn't march. It just stagnated. And the wife was stupid. Why would you take somebody out of a hospital without knowing exactly what his condition is or what they're doing for him or anything? And she said, we're going to find our own doctor. It's like, this is a real special case that finding a doctor that can deal with this and would understand what's going on would be a challenge. That just didn't compete for me why she thought that would be a great idea. But she did, and then, when things got tough, she caved, so there you go. I will say I could tell all the characters apart. That's one good thing. It's just, I remember the 50s, and a lot of those old movies did plod along. And I don't know if they just didn't know how to make a good movie yet, or what. But so many of these old movies have that problem, that they just talk and talk and talk, or there is not enough plot, and they certainly didn't bother to do anything spacey. That was just kind of incidental. I expect a science fiction movie to at least talk about rockets and space and stuff like that, but they didn't. That was just kind of a vehicle to carry this dull, plodding plot along. Pardon me. I understand this was a big hit at the time, which kind of amazes me, but I guess that's when you're not used to anything better, you'll accept something like this. All right, back to net. This is Stone V5OZL.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Thank you for those comments. I'll now open it up to anybody who may not have checked in yet. Anyone else out there who would like to check in? Tonight's movie is the Quatermass Experiment with an X. No E, but an X. Experiment from 1955. If you'd like to join us, even if you haven't seen the film, that's okay too. Just check in now with your call sign, your name. Did you see the film?
Hello. This is Whiskey November 5, Romeo November Whiskey, transmitting out of Irving, Texas. No, I haven't seen the movie, but all of y'all got me really curious. I'm going to look it up.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you. I got you as WN5RNW over in Irving. Could I get your name, please?
Roger that. It's Pat, Papa Alpha Tango. And once again, my call sign is Whiskey November 5, Romeo November Whiskey. And I enjoyed the net. I've been listening to it for a few weeks now.
All right, Ed. Well, we appreciate that. And by the way, if you'd like to get on the list, the movie list, to find out what next week is in case you fall asleep, which is a very common thing here this late at night, you can send an email to me at my call sign, which is Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX at yahoo.com. And I'll make sure that you're on the list for the movie and the hot link to the movie so that you can go ahead and do the movie in case you miss it during the net or fall asleep, which I do all the time. I've even fallen asleep in my own net. So very good. Let me go ahead and make my comments then on the film. First off, I found we'll get into characterization, but I don't particularly like Quatermass. I didn't like him in the last film. Don't like him so much in this film since it's named after him. He kind of sets the tone. He's the irascible, grumpy American in this thing, and I guess that's fine. But what I mention this because at the end he says, "Oh well, we're gonna have to try again." He just killed 3 people. He launched a spaceship illegally. He didn't get permission to do so. He lost 2 of his crew are jelly now. The 3rd guy is got electrocuted. Oh, well, he got electrocuted. Not my problem. Obviously, it's not my fault. And the next thing he does is he launches another rocket at the end. Did he do that one illegally? Because I'm sure he'd probably be tough for him to do while he's in jail for manslaughter. Oh, and let's not forget all the cute little animals in the zoo that got wiped out. We don't care about that. The only one that didn't get wiped out was the kid, and I was fully expecting that with that remake of Frankenstein scene, but that didn't happen. So, at any rate, I don't know. Anyway, it's back to the drawing board, and we start all over again. One thing about this too was that the creatures weren't very threatening. I thought that was something. Usually we have huge monsters or icky monsters or something that makes you go, ah. These were sort of like not cuddly, but almost. They were just little tiny things. It's like something you would find as roadkill, and you go, oh. so sorry that happened. That's really sad. Or look out, don't run over it. Boom. That's what it kind of looked like. So we'll get into our characterization. I did like the guy who played the walking zombie astronaut. He was pretty cool, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But at any rate, I piecing was useful, and I guess kind of with it. And I would Tony actually in last week's episode, last week's show, this week. So I guess photography with the handheld camera, so it kind of that documentary feel, which for that time would have. So I thought that was kind of interesting in the end. But we can talk about that. I guess that's more technical anyway. Okay, let's go to the top of the list. Next up is characterization. We had a whole bunch of them. I don't know if they were really good characters, but we had a bunch of them. So pick a few and talk about them. We'll start with Bill, N5BB. You're up.
Okay, Tony. Tony. Okay, Tom. I'll get your name right after a while, Tom. K5ICX in the group. This is N5BB. Well, the plot, the movie let me down when it came to characterization. So let's think about it. Who are the main characters that are present throughout the movie? There's Quatermass himself. There's his assistant that somehow shows up. We don't see anybody else I can remember associated with his laboratory. Nobody. How they build the rocket. Who answers the phone when he's out of the office? I didn't see anything. Was there a secretary? If so, I forgot her. So essentially, that was kind of weird. He's kind of like a one-man show. And his sidekick just barely is in there. I mean, we see him a couple of times like, oh, I'm sorry I couldn't be here, but here I am. And we just don't, the sidekick really didn't do much at all. And we don't know very much about what the three astronauts, we heard their names being mentioned, but they're forgettable. I don't remember them. We know the wife of one of them. How about the other two? We don't know anything about their families. They weren't showing up crying. Did Quatermass seem like he was, really broke up? Was he emotionally affected by the loss of those three astronauts? Not obvious to me. He's Mr. Scientific Method, and emotions don't enter into it. So I thought the interesting thing was when he was talking to Judith, what appeared to be the astronaut that survived, kind of, as an alien, when he was talking to her, kind of trying to put aside all of her complaints, and she said, you killed three people, or two people, and nearly killed another. So here's the quote I wrote down. I had to write this down because it explains the characterization of Mr. Quatermass. Here's the quote. There's no room for personal feelings in science, Judith. There's no room for personal feelings in science, Judith. That pretty much explains Mr. Quatermass, okay? He's just Quatermass, by the way. Don't know what his first name is. If they said it, I forgot it. He doesn't seem to have anybody that he works with that's like the decisions he makes are his own. Is there a team? No. Is there somebody he works for? Not really. He knows some people over in the government, and it appears they must have funded his thing, but there's not even a name for it. It's just the Quatermass project. There's no name on the building. I don't remember a name on the building or a name of the project or a goal of what they were trying to do. Did the local police know they were shooting off a rocket? Well, heck no. Did anybody else really know much about it? Well, I guess they saw the rocket out there, and it was there one day, it wasn't another, and then here it comes back again. I don't know. So, Quatermass himself is not a very complete person. Does he have a family? But do we know anything about him other than he shows up and does these stupid things? They end up being stupid because he kills a lot of people. No. So the astronaut/alien that came back, he says, okay, let's put him in the hospital. And he said, Quatermass says, under complete isolation. Make sure he's completely isolated. Was that follow through? Was there a guard? No. I don't know. I did not understand the fact that Quatermass seemed to be rather ineffectual. In other words, he barked orders and things, but he wasn't very good at running an organization and following up on things and having a team that would help him. So, I don't know. It's kind of a one-man show, which is kind of weird. N5BD. I got some more. The astronaut that came back, whatever his name was, his wife Judith, talk about her characterization. She, for some strange reason, she doesn't realize, I guess, that her husband is no longer her husband. She's not accepting reality, and she wants to get him out of the hospital for a reason which she does not. They don't tell us. I don't see any motivation for her wanting to get him out of the hospital. That just makes no sense at all to me. So I'm totally blindsided by that. And her friend that helped her, I don't understand his motivation either for going through all those things. Didn't they realize they were going to be found out and probably, they broke laws, or I don't know what they did. Another thing that bothered me about the whole thing, I saw the police commissioner there and the police people. They seem to kind of have some friction with Quatermass, but they never overrode him. Nobody did. He seemed to be, what was his position? He didn't seem to be a government official. He ran his own little organization there with one other person or something. I just don't really understand why they deferred to him so much. It was all police work versus science, and that was kind of a stupid delineation there. Should have been some more characterization of those people and their interaction. What else? I don't know. I didn't find any other characters that were very significant. There just wasn't a lot else going on. I was hoping Judith, the astronaut's wife, we'd find out some things about her. And did they have kids? Where they live? What was she going to do with him? And so she disappeared. The moment that the break-in got out of the hospital, that kind of failed. It kind of screwed up. She disappeared. I think the movie let us down there. There should have been some backstory there about what happened with her, but we didn't hear about any of that. So, I don't know. This is weird. There were a little characterization, I guess, was of the TV people. You had the producer there in Westminster Abbey that was going to sit there and he was going to film, he was going to do it live TV no matter what. Didn't really make any difference what was going on. He was going to do it. And we've seen that bullheadedness in some other science fiction movies. That's also rather stupid characterization, if you ask me. None of those people were thinking clearly. And I didn't understand that. Okay, I guess that's it. As you can see, I didn't like I especially didn't like the characterization of the astronaut that came back that became an alien. I didn't understand his motivation. What was he acting with any human brain? Was he with an alien intelligence, or was it? It wasn't obvious at all. Didn't make any sense. Bad characterization. That's all I got. Inside BB.
All right, thank you, Bill. You put some thought into this one. Now, you did mention in passing, I think it was this round, the Quatermass did have a first name. It was Bernard, as is named after Bernard Lowell. It says here, I may have picked Quatermass' surname out of a phone book, but his first name was carefully chosen, Bernard, after Bernard Lowell, the creator of Jodo Bank, whatever that is. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, next up is Tony. Tony, NT5TM. Tony, you have lots of characters. You didn't have many people in the last movie, but you got a lot of characters in this one. What do you think? From KE5 ICX.
Yes, there were some characters, and yeah, they were just not memorable, engaging, or interesting. It was almost impossible to care about them. In last week's movie, they gave him 2 minions, which seems impossibly small to launch a rocket. I mean, I guess you could launch like a bottle rocket with 2 people. One person stands the bottle up and puts the bottle rocket in, and the other one carries over the match or lighter. But man, I'm just too much immersed in space history to think of. You built this big rocket with 2 people, and yeah, here he seems to have even fewer. He should have armies of minions. Who are his flight directors? Where's the flight surgeon? Who designs all this stuff? Where are the test stands? Yada, yada, yada. I just can't imagine even reaching a medium Earth orbit, or I guess really a low Earth orbit, or even an Alan Shepard type flight without an army of people helping you out. And they're all missing. They're all missing. And the people we do get to see, I mostly just don't care about. Yes, I know the one surviving astronaut was being possessed by a being of pure energy who for some reason wanted to turn him into a plant. And a lot of other people were just following orders, but I found them boring, forgettable, unengaging, and just absolutely, I need a word that means apathetic, but in reverse. I didn't feel any desire to engage them. They made me feel apathetic. Apathy-inducing. We'll call them apathy-inducing and boring. NC5TM.
Well, you could say just pathetic, I suppose. I don't know. Just shorten it a little bit. Okay, well, you genuinely seemed irritated with those comments in this round with our characters. But that's okay. You didn't even feel for Plant. You didn't even feel very bad about Plant Guy. Okay, that's fine. Next up is Virginia, NV5F, your chance at characterization and acting. Go right ahead.
Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate Bill's thoroughness this evening. I mean, he was even talking about plot problems that were interlaced in character problems. And, yeah, I tend to be an empathetic person, but, and I thought astronaut plant guy was probably at least, you know, kind of empathy-inducing for me, but I would have liked to have seen a lot more done with his character. And like Bill said, his wife, once he ran off, you know, and then they reported finding her in the car, I guess kind of catatonic. You never heard much about her, or the wives of the other guys, or how does Quatermass like do all this kind of unilaterally? And he's that way in the next movie too. He's just kind of. And I guess that was sort of a stereotypical thing. Oh, he's just an ugly American who, like, runs over everybody and gets things done like they do in America, but, you know, he seems to just do it all himself and doesn't. And then he's the guy investigating what's going on, but, yeah, he doesn't seem to have any conscience about any of it. And he's like, oh, let's just do it again. And he was kind of that way in the one we watched last week, so. He doesn't seem to have any. Everybody in this is kind of boilerplate, one-dimensional people. You know, they're you know, kind of. There's cops, or there's the TV guy. You know, and that's interesting. In both of these movies, there's been kind of reference to live TV, and that was kind of a thing at the time. It was, you know, it was kind of a new thing. If you think about it, it would be like us doing a movie where there was a subplot about the internet, you know, back in the 90s or something. So I kind of try to, when I see these, sort of put myself in their shoes and think, what were the people who watched this? Like, this was like high-tech stuff, you know, rockets and TV, live television. But yeah, there was nobody here that you really got involved with on a, you know, an interest, like you really cared about what happened to them, or whether they, you know, really beat the whatever the plant creature from outer space. I don't know, plant creatures from the moon. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, the acting was fine. I thought, you know, it's the whole old thing of decent actors with not a whole lot to do, or not a whole lot interesting in the story that they're given. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say. The acting, like I said, acting was fine. Characters, you could tell them apart, but they were, you know, not very memorable in general, or they were just kind of stereotypes. And yeah, the whole Quatermass and what he just sort of embodies, that kind of, you know, I just do whatever I want, and, you know, I try to fix it, but I don't really seem to care that much, you know, if I can't. And then once I get it fixed, I just go right back and, you know, don't really take any stock. I just do it again. And that's kind of what happened in the, whatever the one was called that we watched, Quatermass 2. Electric Boogaloo. Okay, back to net in V5F.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Virginia. I sense a consensus here. KB9SOK, Sean, you're up. Characterization, acting, tell us from KE5ICX.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, there was the characters. Yeah, were very one-dimensional. Best actor probably does go to our astronaut that made it back. That was basically playing a zombie. He did a pretty good job of acting the part. Our antagonist, Quatermass dude, I've got a word for him, but can't say it on the radio. He's definitely not a guy you'd want to work for, that's for sure. He clearly does not care at all about his employees or life or anything at all. I mean, didn't even blink an eye. He really didn't care. He said early on, everybody dies, there'll be people lined up that want to go up in space, They knew the risks. One thing about the plot I kind of forgot about earlier was it's kind of funny. The guy kept saying multiple times in the movie, well, we didn't know where, they were, we didn't know where they're at. They could have been anywhere. Well, they only launched them just into outer space, and they're orbiting the Earth. Well, what do you mean they could have went anywhere? That made no sense. And he said that multiple times. It's like they went off into deep space or something. So, yeah, that was a plot thing I forgot. The wife, it was, she obviously started out very caring, then I've already kind of mentioned it was odd that all at once, she didn't care about him once he got him out, saw his arm. I don't think that would have been the case as much as she was worried about him. After she made the big fuss to get him into the hospital, and she wanted him out a day later, so, yeah. And then we had our doctor, which was the only person we saw from his team this whole movie, and obviously he was not thrilled about it and wanted no part of it. He didn't care for the way people were being taken care of. So I guess he was okay, but we know, once again, as a doctor, you do have ethics. Kind of what he done, just kind of doing stuff on the side like that, I think would have lost his license. So yeah. And really, those were our main characters. I mean, we had a few oddball ones, like Gardner mentioned. Yeah, they made a big deal of the broadcast, and I'm guessing, I think Virginia's right, at the time, that was a big thing, live television, and I'm sure that's probably why they were making that point about, we're not going to stop being live, we don't care what's happening, that's why it's live, we're going to show whatever happens, and, we've seen that, in years since live television started, that sometimes they show things maybe they shouldn't. Of course, now we got censorship, so they don't. But anyway, not a whole lot to say about the characters here. Pretty dull. So anyway, back to that KB9S. Okay.
Thank you, Sean. Next up is Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, surely you have something wonderful to say about some of our characters from KE5I6.
Oh, WB50ZL, surely I do. But it just escapes me right now. Just really didn't like the wife. She was awful. And there wasn't anybody in this that I really saw as a hero or that I really identified with or associated with. They were just a vehicle for this stupid bad movie. And I don't know if any of them ever worked again. I didn't recognize any of the characters, but that's not unusual for something that's that old. And, made, well, not before I was born, but when I was a small child anyway. So, of course, it's not their fault. It's not the actor's fault. They're given these lines to read, and that's what they have to do. So it's kind of sad. Something like this can ruin an actor's career. I'm going to quit there. WB50ZL, back to net.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Okay, we're down at the bottom. I'm going to ask Pat, WN5RNW. Pat, thank you for checking in this evening. So what do you think? You said you would be willing to see this movie. Have you seen any of the Quatermass movies? There's actually been 3 of them, and there's even a TV miniseries that was filmed, of all things, later on. So I guess for people from Britain, they're familiar with the series. I wasn't until this latest spat of films that we've been watching. But what say you? Is this something you know about, or does it remind you of anything you've seen in the past from KE5 ICX? Okay, I think Pat may have gone to bed. I don't blame him, but I'm glad he dropped by. Characterizations, things I liked. I liked Inspector Lomax. I thought he was pretty good. He had kind of a warm fuzzy about him. He was the only one that seemed to really even care about anybody, such as it was. He was okay. Because I felt that our main character here, Quatermass, wasn't exactly a sympathetic character. Now, from what I understand, the character as played by our actor here, what's his name, Brian Donlevy, was probably not the best choice, and even the creator said that he wasn't particularly happy with him in the role, even though he brought him back twice for the characterization for the same character. But at any rate, not very sympathetic. The character that I did like, though, was our zombie astronaut guy was pretty good. I liked him. Starting to fade a little bit. I'm a little tired, so this time of the evening I start losing it. Who was the character's name? I got it here somewhere. Here it is. Victor Caroon. I thought he was interesting. He didn't say much. I don't think he said anything at all, now I think about it. But he was a very interesting character. He went on to do a lot of horror films after this with Hammer Productions. So I thought that was interesting, and he has that face. I thought he was rather sympathetic myself. And it says here he had the right sort of face for the part. So I'll give him that. Now, our creature of the minute, no characterization, not much to be very sympathetic about, just that rubber stuff that, like, nobody cares. Our wifey, she could have been interesting, but unfortunately, no, we don't get that, because in the 6-part series, she's supposed to be a sympathetic scientist and can understand and feel for her husband. This one, nah, he's gone. Nobody cares. So, kind of strange. But I guess that's what happens when you go and you condense it down to a movie that it's going to be seen over the course of 90 minutes or so. Okay, well, with that, we'll go ahead and, I was going to ask if anybody else is out there. Anybody else out there want to join us? Please come with your call now. Okay, we're moving on to the final round. We'll probably finish on time. We'll start at the top. Final round. Anything you want to talk about? Music, direction, special effects, something we didn't cover in the first 2 rounds. You got it. It's now Bill's turn, N5BV. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, thank you, Tom. This is N5BV. Was there music? If there was, I forgot about it. There were minimal special effects. I guess the rocket stuck in the ground was one special effect. And the creature, well, I guess was kind of a a really basic special effect. It was just sitting there. We know that this creature, the blob, or whatever you want to call it, that it climbed walls and everything, but you never saw it doing it. So they didn't even bother with fancy special effects. So there's not any special effects to complain about. But there weren't any. Excuse me. The one interesting thing I was just thinking, in one sense, way of thinking about it, the two movies we saw, the Quatermass Experiment and Quatermass 2, they're really the same, at the root, the same plot. What do I mean? Well, what's involved in it? On the movie we saw this time, there was a rocket that was involved in bringing some alien creature back to Earth to infect humans and spread and maybe infect and absorb everybody. And plants and mice and everything, and zoo animals. It was going to affect all of life on the Earth. Okay, and the vehicle for getting them here was the spacecraft. Second movie, what do we have? Well, we've got this alien life and some asteroid near the Earth that they blow up with a nuclear blast, evidently. And it came down to the Earth to infect humans that were zombie-like, just like in the first movie, kind of zombie-like. And it was infecting everybody. It was going to be a catastrophe. So it's really the same movie. We had the rocket, except in one of them it brings the alien stuff, and the second one it explodes it. By the way, in the second movie, they were saying something about the rocket wasn't stable, and so it would easily explode or something. I don't understand. The first movie here that we saw today, this movie, they didn't talk to anybody about nuclear and the rocket, any danger or anything. So I did not understand where that came from in the second movie. Maybe somebody else can remember it better than me. But they were just going to shoot the rocket out there at that asteroid, and it was going to blow up because it was this unstable nuclear power in the rocket or something. So that made no sense. But essentially, they were the same basic premise. Alien stuff is going to infect humans and turn them into zombies and take over their will. And in the movie the first Quatermass movie, the movie we saw tonight, in that movie, it actually absorbed the bodies. So it affected your body directly, and other creatures, it's like 8 creatures, it sucked their blood out or whatever. On the other movie, the Quatermass 2, it seemed to infect their minds. But in both cases, it was going to, infect the whole Earth. So they kind of made the same movie twice, just twisting some of the parameters. The rocket was the same. The obstinate, knuckle-headed Quatermaster was the same. And the police were in both movies. The first one we had some military that we didn't really see in this one. This one we saw the fire department brigade. But we saw the police in both movies. So if you think about it, it was really the same cast of characters, the same devices, just kind of rearranged. It really wasn't, they really weren't two movies. It's really one movie just completely twisted inside out. I think that's all I got. Thank you, N5BB.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Next up, Tony, NT5TM. Your final comments from KE5 ICX.
Well, yeah, in keeping with the comments of others, I sure did enjoy seeing a rocket stuck in the ground like a lawn dart, because, yeah, they're strong enough for that. I also felt that Leslie Nielsen had an honorary appearance in this movie as we heard the loudspeaker announcements, return to your homes. There is nothing to see here. There is nothing to see here. When, obviously, there is a large rocket ship to see here. The wonderful magic of official announcements. Yeah, if there was music, I forgot it too. Special effects were minimal. Nothing more to say, really. NT5TM.
All right, thank you, Tony. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was watching the film. The same thing, the Leslie Nielsen Naked Gun reference in the giant rocket sticking out of the ground. Yeah, I thought exactly the same thing. All right, thanks for your comments this evening. Next up, NV5F Virginia. What do you got for us for the final shot this evening?
Well, let's see, music was forgettable, but I do remember a couple moments where they did use the music to build some tension that, if I put myself in the shoes of the people watching this in 1955, probably would have been kind of scary and disturbing. The black and white cinematography, I actually thought was pretty decent. I thought the level of contrast and setting the mood that they were going for here with the cinematography, I thought was generally well done. I kind of wish I'd watched last week's movie in its original black and white. I think it would have made a good impact on my impression of it overall. But yeah, not a whole lot else to say. I think, it was a typical, we want to do something science fiction-y about space and our concerns about space, but we don't have a big budget, but we've got this kind of popular character or this popular series. We're going to try to make a go of it with the movie, but we don't have a whole lot except a squishy monster that you don't really see until the very end, and a rocket stuck in the ground, and a set of the inside of a rocket. So yeah, not a very big story. So, but yeah, I like to watch old black and white movies just to see if the actual cinematography is good, because it's so different from color cinematography, and I think it can really be more moody and used very effectively if you want to create kind of a scary or sinister or disturbing feeling. It's just a whole different deal. So that's it for me. Back to the NV5F.
Thank you, Virginia. Next up, Sean, KB9SOK. You're up.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, as everybody there mentioned, not a lot of special effects. Nothing special there, a bunch of squishy creatures. A rocket stuck upside down on the ground. We see the inside of the rocket. At least this time they didn't make it like super spaceship. Wasn't like the inside of a house. There wasn't no paneling. Of course, there weren't no controls or nothing either. So yeah, not a lot in the special effects department here. Yeah, the music was pretty, what I'd call, Virginia already said it. It just, they had, the suspenseful music and the build-up. Just very kind of generic background music and noise. nothing wrong with it, though. I mean, it fit the scene, so, yeah, the photography was decent, especially for the time. The audio was decent, so we'll give them that. Other than that, not a lot really special to say about this movie. As usual, the conversation tonight was better than the movie itself. Looking forward to the next one. Back to net. This is KB9SOK.
All right, thank you, Sean. Yeah, I agree with you there. Okay, Brenda, WB50ZL, you get a final word. What is it from KE5I6?
This is Cindy from OZL. I found the music very annoying. The special effects were almost non-existent, but it was so typical back then. They didn't have a budget and they didn't know what to do. They just didn't have special effects. And what little they did have or could imagine, they probably couldn't afford. But they tried, they tried to make a movie that they thought people would watch, and I'm sure to them it was interesting and exciting, and it was all about space, which was a big deal back in the 50s. So many space movies they made. All right, well, I am fading fast, so I'm going to hang up here. This is WB50ZL.
Well, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, everyone who participated this evening. Well, my comments, final thing, don't really have much to add to it. I kind of mentioned it originally. The handheld camera thing was pretty good. I thought some of the cinematography looked pretty good. It did not have very much of a budget. It had minimal budget, but it looked okay considering. Sound was pretty reasonable. There was the on-site stuff that was pretty well illuminated. I thought it was interesting too. They mentioned the power outage or the power transfer, I guess, that I read somewhere on Wiki that they had went overboard and really did cut off a lot of the electricity along the Thames there. For whatever reason, it wasn't necessary. They only needed it right where the camera was positioned, but they took it way beyond that apparently. So I don't know if they were able to get additional shots. It looks like they did. Took advantage of the situation. But all very interesting. Not a bad film. I think the Quatermass and the Pit, I think the film from 1967 is probably the most solid of any of the ones I've seen. I do have a copy of the 6-part series. I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it in a link somewhere so you can see it if you want to watch it. It's sort of a post-apocalyptic version of the thing. It doesn't get usually lumped in with these other films, but it is a Quatermass story. So, but from what I understand, it was not very good. That's probably why it doesn't get much mention. But that's kind of the way it is. So, next week's movie, everybody ready? Write this down. We are going into Christmas season, so our first Christmas movie is Christmas Icetastrophe. I don't have a date on this one. I think it's about 2012, something like that. I forgot to put the date on it. But at any rate, a meteorite comes to Earth and causes very cold weather in December. I don't know how they'll know the difference between them, but I guess people get frozen or something. So be ready. It'll be exciting and fun. Okay, and with that, I say, everyone, have a good evening and enjoy the rest of your weekend, extended holiday weekend. I don't think anybody's traveling, but if you are traveling, be very careful out there. And with that, I'm going to say good night, good luck, God bless, and all that good stuff. And we'll do this again next week. Same bat time, same bat station. See you next time. This is KE5ICX, now clear.